Steve, good to see you.
Oh, wonderful to be here. Thanks so much.
Great. So the whole industry has had to recalibrate this year, and Tripadvisor is no stranger to pivots. You've done a few in your lifetime. So at what point in April did you say, oh dear, now I have to even repivot again. I have to think again and rethink this business again?
Well, I mean, we would see this pandemic unfolding. At first, we weren't quite sure, and then, yeah, super obvious. This is super serious, and it's going to be meaningfully worse than the other interruptions we've had in travel. So, you know, I've been around. We've all been around long enough to know, you know, after 9/11, after a terrorist attack in cities, after volcanoes and earthquakes, travel rebounds. People always want to get back on the road as soon as they can. And here, it was less fear and more very legitimate safety concerns. So, you know, there may be some debate about, is it a U-shaped recovery or V-shaped or whatever, but it was going to take quarters, not months. It was going to take a while to come back. So what do? Us, like every other business, do we have enough cash? How's our liquidity? Are we going to be able to make it through a prolonged downturn? Did some renegotiation, raise some money? Check, got that. So I can sleep at night knowing the company will be around. Next up, what do we do? And we chose to take the time to actually do some pretty meaningful retooling under the covers. Since the pandemic, we've launched 3 new B2B products. We launched a brand new consumer subscription product, and we've made a good progress on our kind of new brand around there's good out there and helping travelers plan trips that really matter when they're on our site. And those are kind of all pretty new things. And yes, we were working on them before the pandemic struck, but the pandemic actually helped us accelerate a few of those.
It's how to accelerate at that point. So some of the previous pivots, just more recent, one was integrating into the social platform, and that's kind of been put aside. So I'm interested to know some of the learnings there. And then the other is this relaunch of your website that seems kind of fortuitous as you look like it's more about the destination and more of that dream phase, which so many travelers are in right now. Unfortunately, we're only dreaming. So, you know, talk about what you learned from social and then about what made you decide to do this relaunch again.
So social was an investment in our part, really going back to our heritage. How can we bring the guidance to travelers? And of course, with 800 or a billion reviews and opinions, we already have a ton of content, but how could we bring a bit more inspirational, a bit more authoritative content? Not stuff that Tripadvisor was going to write, but the social initiative was, let's pull in some of those Instagram influencers. Let's pull in some really terrific travel writers from travel publications all around the globe and highlight that content on Tripadvisor. And then you could follow people and see when they posted something new. What that merged into, or what that moved into, was really highlighting the guidance that these sources provide. And that's still on the site today. And in fact, forms kind of a foundation to the branding of There's Good Out There, where on our city pages, we're highlighting content not written by us, not written by a random stranger out there, but by an influencer or by a publication. The ability to follow, that's gone by the wayside, but the surfacing of the content that's a bit more editorialized, we found, because travelers tell us, is really quite valuable. And that's the exciting part that helped both social to begin with, as well as turning that into our new brand positioning and what the site looks and feels like.
And the site looks and feels very different, like you're really moving up the funnel. Like, so what was that thinking there?
We want to really focus in on the trips that matter to people. And when you think about the usage of Tripadvisor as a review site, hey, it's nice to check a review, but if you're staying overnight on a business trip, you just want it to be good enough. And Tripadvisor has reviews, so does Booking and Expedia and Google and everyone else. I'm like, how is Tripadvisor going to be as magical as when you first discovered it? Answer, well, let's have Tripadvisor focus in on serving the customers where it's a really important trip. It's that week in Cancun. It's that 4-day weekend in the Berkshires. It's the taking the kids to Paris, not the one-night business trip where our reviews might be helpful, but that's more of a commodity. What Tripadvisor brings to that trip that really matters is the hotel search, the best recommendation things to do, our forums to help you answer the questions that aren't even apparent at that moment, flights, restaurants, where's that amazing dining experience? How can I wrap all that together? And that starts with inspiring you on all the different places you might want to go. And when you're thinking Paris, what are the guides? What are the photos? What are the beautiful things that can help me start this planning process? Because nobody else does that well anywhere on the internet. And that's a heck of a lot. That's why a heck of a lot of people come to Tripadvisor, and we just feel like that's our power alley, helping on that considered trip.
It was interesting because the research that Alice showed, the two big trends. One of them is, of course, booking closer in, perhaps 24 hours in. And then the other one is planning months and months ahead. How do you balance that?
Well, we are a wonderful site to plan. And with all the inventory we have and with our new consumer subscription product, it becomes a great place to finish that last mile. Well, what experience are you going to take? Are you going to walk up to the Sagrada Familia, stand in line, take a tour? Or do you want a private tour, extremely highly rated, that'll tell you all the backstories? We want to inspire people to take that extra special thing, which, by the way, you should really book before you go because it may be sold out. And of course, we're offering that booking capability. We let travelers rank whichever of these tours are the best. We want to make sure we have that selection and it's bookable so that you, as a traveler, can make sure your trip goes flawlessly.
So let's talk about your subscription product, because you're not new to that. You've had B2B subscription products that you recently launched for hotels, and now you're planning a B2C subscription product. So there's a lot of talk about subscriptions in travel. Most of the success has been on the high-end luxury side, where people are willing to pay a premium to have a luxury offering. So not so much for more of a commodity or more for a hotel. So particularly because travelers, many only travel once or twice a year. So they may not be thinking, oh, I'm going to get value out of that $99, what the subscription will cost, I understand. So what was the thinking there in launching the subscription product? And what have you learned? I mean, what kind of research have you done to say this is a great idea?
Sure. So it's called Tripadvisor Plus. It'll be out in a couple of months, $99 suggested price. And you're right, we start with the background in the subscription business. We've had several subscription products for restaurants and hotels. And we just launched a couple more, Spotlight, a business advice insight product, and Reputation Pro to help hoteliers manage their reputation. We have Menu Connect, which helps menus distribute their inventory online. So fair amount of expertise on the B2B side. This is the Trip Plus, a brand new subscription offering for consumers. We think we've done a great job combining discounts on tens of thousands of hotels, discounts that you can only find on Tripadvisor, perks at thousands of hotels, whether it's a free plate in the room, a free upgrade if available, a late checkout, things that make that experience special. And of course, a discount on the 400,000 different experiences that we sell on our site as creating those activities on the trip. So think about how most people want to travel. Everyone looks for content, wants to make sure they're staying at the right place, going to the right city. Tripadvisor does that well. Take it the next step, then they want to make sure they're getting a good deal. They're saving money, either because they want it in their back pocket, or they want to be able to afford a better hotel, or they want to take that money and apply it to the things to do. For whatever reason, price shopping is a core aspect of what people do. Our meta search engine has obviously done that for decades. With our Trip Plus, we aim to be able to offer a savings to the traveler on the very first trip that will more than pay for the subscription cost. So a discount on a hotel, the discount on experiences, the perks, such that even if you only take one trip a year, it becomes the Amazon Prime kind of easy moment. Oh, I know I'm going to pay this back. I don't know if I'm going to take one more trip this year or 5, but anything past this one trip is just extra gravy. And I might get that free upgrade. That would be really cool. That's not a guarantee in many cases, but it's a nice ability to have that extra special moment. And you can think going out years how we can add content on our site. We can add other partners that offer additional things. It's a entry to an airplane lounge that you might not have otherwise gotten into. It's discounts on other activities, special entry for attractions, lots of things that can make that experience special. And TripAdvisor has the consumers that are already looking for the trip that matter on our site. So,
Are there some
sorry for the
services?
brief commercial there, but it's we have the traffic and we feel the value that we can provide to that traveler is a perfect match.
Wouldn't expect anything else but optimism from you, Steve. So some of the services though that are on there now, like Travel Safe, the contactless menus and whatnot, are you looking at putting some of those free services behind the firewall at some point?
No, I don't. Certainly not Travel Safe. That's for everyone. We want to do our part with the industry to help travel rebound as quickly as possible, and information is part of that. So absolutely, that would be free. I mean, we've made financial donations to our customers, to other businesses to help the recovery. That's a whole separate piece. There might well be a time when we have extra concierge services available. Well, we have Reco, our recommendation where we match a trip designer to you as a paid service. And so, hey, what about making that discounted or part of the Trip Plus service? What about other ways to help either plan a trip or take the trip by way of content that, I'm making it up, drone videos on where you're going. All right, that's something extra special, and Trip Plus members get it. That could be a possibility.
And how will you be sourcing the hotel inventory? These wholesale rates, and rates are so low right now for hotels. It's hard to imagine them being any lower.
Yeah, so a very good question. We're not really looking at this as a product for COVID. We're launching it now because it's ready now. We want to get it out and start learning everything we can learn about how to make this a rip-roaring success for millions of travelers. That's our objective. We get the commissions that we get paid because all of these Trip Plus hotel transactions and experience transactions happen on TripAdvisor. So for experiences, we're merchant of record. We can easily refund off the list price. For hotels, in one form or another, we get paid a commission. Everyone gets paid a commission when they book a hotel. And so we can refund some of that commission back to the consumer. Or we approach hotels and say, hey, look, here's an additional channel, maybe like you once used or still use a Priceline or a Hotwire or a bed bank to help distribute your inventory, where it's an opaque system, in other words, behind our membership gate, to help fill the hotels, and where there's an extra discount that can provide incentive for the traveler to book there. We want to be a partner, and we want to showcase that to our members.
I'm going to switch to an audience question, and the question is, do you have any data that shows certain trends that started or took off due to the pandemic, but will be here to stay after the crisis is over?
Ooh, good question. Tough one. I think, and this is just my guess because we don't know whether the traffic we see now will stick around in the same way, shape, or form post-pandemic. Nobody knows. But I'm betting as a bunch of traffic shifted to the more nature, more outdoors, that people who used to be just visiting cities may revert to that shortly, but then, hey, maybe they've gotten a taste of the beach, the hike, the mountain, the whatever that COVID taught them to experience, and they actually kind of fell in love with it. So I expect maybe a little less urban adventure. Again, peak in demand. I think as soon as the cities open up, there'll be a flood back there. But then if you ask me a year after, it might skew a little bit more scenic.
It'll be interesting to see what behaviors are here to stay. So shifting to business models. So Google is expanding its pay per stay model. And, that's a model that Tripadvisor had adopted for some time with instant booking. When you move back to concentrating on your CPC model, is there some rethought about maybe going back to some sort of pay per stay model? And is the CPC model in some sort of, can it maintain its competitive position in this current environment?
In the current environment, it's a little challenge because there's some risk on the hotelier or OTA side to pay on a per click when there might be cancellations. So we've moved with several of our clients to a CPA or a pay per stay model. That's kind of fine with us. At the end of the day, does our traffic stay at the property? We're in it for the long term. We view ourselves as being good partners with all of our hotel and attraction and restaurant clients. So it's a little 6 of one, half dozen of the other for me at the moment. Looking forward, look, Google has used their unfair advantage as a gatekeeper to most of the internet to drive a lot of traffic into their funnel at the expense of everyone else. We see the government taking some excellent actions there. I think that's great for the health of the internet, yes, in travel, but in really all categories as Google expands their view. With a bit of a tangent, I suppose, to your question.
That's okay. I appreciate it. And I think so our time is up. And believe it or not, goes so fast. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Steve Kaufer, thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you so much for having me, Lorraine. Great to talk with you.